So, hi guys, welcome back. Or welcome to the next game. For those of you who've been following me on the Ironsworn Ravenloft game, boy, that was a trip, wasn't it? We're gonna do something else. I'm gonna do something new now, but I'm still gonna kind of stay in the same space. See what I did there? I'm gonna play some Starforged, and I'm really excited about doing this. I have played a little bit of Starforged in the past. I talked about it certainly more than a few times when I was playing through the Ironsworn game, because at least part of the time that I was playing the Ironsworn game, I was also in the Starforged game using the preview edition of Starforged as seen. And I was not GMing, I was playing. Somebody else was running the game, which was pretty awesome. I had a good time with it. It's also up here on the playlist if you look around for Starforged. I can't remember what the playlist is called, but look around for Starforged. Look around for Starforged on my channel, and it's going to be over there. This one will be flagged solo, and the other one is not, because we played with. I played with a GM and 2.5 other players. So one of them kind of came and went. System was not for them. System is not for everybody, but we're going to try this thing out. So I've been keeping up on the Ironsworn Starforged Kickstarter campaign, which is absolutely amazing. So much good stuff going to be coming out of that. I cannot recommend it enough. In fact, I can still recommend it. Even though the campaign has ended, you can still get stuff, which is kind of awesome. So totally standalone. Do not need Ironsworn to play this thing. If sci-fi is your jam, highly recommend it. There's a ton of cool stuff, decks of asset cards, and a reference guide that's like lay flat, wire bound, and the hardback book and all this kind of stuff. You can late pledge. They just turned this. Sean just turned this on. Just a couple of days ago, where you can come in and late pledge for the thing and check out all the cool bits and bobs and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to get into all the various things, but man, I cannot recommend this enough. The deluxe bundle has got the core rules and printed decks, wirebound reference, the digital edition, assets, all kinds of stuff. And there's been quite a few what do they call them? Stretch goals reached. So oracles for factions, more art, a web-based oracle dashboard, schematics for starships from a really great starship artist, sector starters, so you've got like sort of systems that can kind of kickstart your stuff. And this one that I'm kind of excited about, and I think we might see when we get back to Brigida, is this Ironsworn World's Sundered Isles thing, which is a wooden ships and iron souls powered by Starforged. So fantasy, but more ship-bound stuff. I think this might come up with Brigida because she has a great long journey ahead of her. A great big long thing where she has to get the icon of Ameshti back to the original home of the Far Wardens. And they're not called Far Wardens for nothing. So that might be a big long journey, and I'm kind of looking, if when Sundered Isles rolls, I might be using that to do Brigida's next chapter. Maybe. We'll see. But that's enough about that. Check it out. It's on Kickstarter. Search for Starforged. It's really, really cool. That is about all we're going to talk about for that. I want to just push that out there. The other reason that I kind of decided to get going with this now is because Starforged, one of the things that did during the Kickstarter was it hit a stretch goal that added play support on both the Foundry and Roll20. And the Roll20 character sheet and support sheets and stuff like that, the first draft of that, like ready for production version. I have a version that I've hacked together that we used in our several of our players hacked together, and I've tweaked it some more. That several of our players got put together for our last Starforged game, and I'm using it for this one. But I am very excited to be using the official version because, I mean, the Ironsworn one is great. Very excited about the one that there may be one out here for Starforged within the next week or so, maybe. So I'm looking forward to using that for Roll20 and kind of showing it off and checking out where it is in development, so you all get to see that as well as it grows. I don't need to worry about that tonight because I am not going to be playing, well, no, that's not true. I am going to be playing Starforged, but I'm going to be starting up everything with Starforged. So I might do a little bit of stuff, like putting the stuff in the character sheet a little bit, but I'm not going to get into the nuts and bolts of actually rolling dice and all that kind of stuff just yet. I've got a lot of world building to do. So without further ado, I'm going to dive in here and we're going to take a look at Starforged, kind of explore the book a little bit and get into creating the world, creating the characters. I have a couple of thoughts on what I want to do. We'll talk some more about that later. I haven't decided yet, so we will see. We'll see where we're at. So we'll check this out. So, all right, with that in mind, let's take a look at what we got here on Starforged. So, I'm not gonna spend a lot. We're not doing a tour of the book, but we have a whole section in here on the basics, just how everything works, the setting, the mechanics, the iron vows, how the moves work, how the action roll works, how momentum works, how the progress tracks work, which is going to be different than it worked in Ironsworn a little bit. The progress tracks still work, but what they mean in terms of like getting XP and all that kind of stuff is different than it used to be. Well, we're just gonna have to see. There are more ways to earn XP than there used to be. When we did our little Ironsworn hack of things to run Starforged, we used the failure track to, have like accumulated failure possibly lead to XP. But that is, I don't think that's actually in the core rules. I think we just did that for the heck of it. Two of us, the GM and myself, had come off of playing solo games of Ironsworn before, and we really had it in our minds to get a whole bunch of quests. You got to get a ton of quests, and you got to do those quests, and that's how you get XP. And that isn't the only way to get XP in Ironsworn, or in Starforged rather. It's really, really interesting. There's multiple tracks that you track. Your quest track here and your bonds track. Can I zoom in a little bit? Okay. Your quest track and your bonds track and your discoveries track. So there's actually 3 different ways you can get experience points. How this works is every time you finish a quest, you mark off a certain number of ticks in your quest box, right? And when a box fills, you get 2 XP. Same thing's true for bonds. Same thing's true for discoveries. That's pretty cool. I like that a lot. A couple things that this does is, and then how many hashes you mark in the box is dependent on how involved the quest was or the bond was or anything like that. Discoveries the same way, that kind of stuff. So if you finish off like an epic quest, it marks off a whole bunch of hash marks, and you might fill a box or more than a box, anything like that. I can't remember what the particulars are. We'll figure that out as we go. So you get finishing quests gives you XP, but it's not as direct as it is in Ironsworn. But there's more ways to do it because you can get it from quests, you can get it from. There's multiple ways, and I like it. I really like the flavor that this brings to the game because doing the vows in Ironsworn, that was such a strong focus on that because that was everything your character was about. And here, kinda. Like you can do that, but you can get just as much XP from exploring and learning things about the universe and just being out there and running into weird shit and finding out about it, and that's pretty cool. And you can also get XP from just building bonds. Bonds are much more complicated. Bonds are much more complex than they are in Ironsworn. In Ironsworn, pretty much like if you form a bond with somebody, you've got a bond. Boom. In Starforged, that initial connection that you make with somebody is a connection, just a connection. You're an acquaintance. You might like each other, you might not like each other, whatever. And then you grow that. You get opportunities to advance that, and it's like a quest track. If they're a difficult person to get to know and really form a bond with, if they're really challenging, it might take a lot of work to get them up, further along this track. If they're friendly and open and somebody who wants to get to know you, maybe they're just troublesome and you can form a bond with them real easy, but it doesn't fill in any hashes on your bonds, but you can make friends with a lot of people. You get it all the way up, and then when you get it further along and you try to form that final bond and actually make a bond with them, then it's like completing a quest, and you roll the challenge dice against your progress and see how that goes. It can be really rewarding, and discoveries are sort of the same way, but you can sit around like traveling from planet to planet and have most of your XP come from the XP, maybe the real XP, the people that we met along the way. In this case, that's actually true, or can be. So quests, bonds, discoveries, that's where that's where stuff happens. So that's a really interesting wrinkle compared to Ironsworn. I'm really excited about that because it isn't just about what you do, it's also about who you meet and what you learn. So you can, if you see how the game is pointed here, what is the game pointed at? Doing stuff, sure, for people, doing these crazy quests and that kind of thing, but also finding out weird mysteries and making connections with people. So there's hints of Mass Effect in there, right? Lots of bonds to be formed with communities and with people. Certainly there's learning about the weird stuff out in the universe. There's all kinds of examples of that in fiction, in various kinds of media. Learning about the remnants and you know the leftover remnants of alien civilizations or Cthulhu sleeping in orbit around some dying star. Hopefully, don't run into that. You know, any of that kind of stuff, right? And there's some great systems in here that I've run into a couple of times where we've encountered in our game a couple of times where you run into literally stuff that man was not meant to know. So, and then you poke it with a stick or sometimes a laser rifle. So, all right. So legacy tracks very cool. And the nice thing about these is they go all the way up to 10, and then you can mark and say I'm through 10, and it starts over again, but accumulates more slowly. So you can play. It's kind of set up to play longer. So I don't know. I was certainly I saw a lot of XP accumulate. It certainly seems to work. You can mark the plus 10 thing and just keep playing. Some of the other stuff you will see here on the little preview of the character sheet is really quite familiar. The misfortunes, whether you're wounded or encumbered, that kind of stuff. And there's also conditions for your vehicles because they have vehicles in here and ships and all that kind of stuff. So really liking the art. Again, we've stuck with that photorealistic, or in fact just photo art. This one's a little bit more art than it is actual photos. It's like a painted photorealistic type of thing, but I think it's still basic. I think it is actual art this time a little bit, but some nice photoshopping stuff and really great stuff and some nice, very, very cool ship designs, and they got some great ship design people that are doing art for the book. Sean wears his inspirations on his sleeve a little bit with this, and has said many, many times that one of the things that inspired him to go further, take Ironsworn into the stars was the Mandalorian. I've got no beef with that. I am here for that content, so that's going to be pretty cool. Lots of cool stuff with the vehicles. There's actually a lot of good stuff happening there. So I'm going to scroll a little bit more. We'll talk. The assets are one of the interesting things that you have in Starforged is an interesting asset that you get basically for free, because at level 1 it really doesn't do anything except provide you sort of a narrative base. So you get a starship command vehicle. Your armed multi-purpose starship is suited for interstellar and atmospheric flight. It can comfortably transport several people, has space for cargo, and can carry and launch support vehicles. When you advance, you may spend experience to equip this vehicle with module assets. So it is armed, does a bunch of different stuff. It can land on a planet, it can fly through space, carry a bunch of people, has cargo. So whatever you envision yourself doing, the ship is broadly speaking capable of doing that. And then you can, some of the assets that you can pick up are things that modify this, and also you can expand it. So you can give it stuff. Right now, when it's like this, all it is just, okay, you have an asset that narratively gives you this capability of moving around. And then when you advance, you can modify it. You can make it tougher. You can have it be better at traveling or help you when you're traveling, which is cool. And there's also all kinds of stuff: heavy cannons, missile banks, cargo space, fancy living quarters, an AI pilot, all kinds of stuff that you can add to the ship that expands its capability. I think ours was sort of a repurposed generation ship that was being used to travel from gate connected system to gate connected system. We didn't have it capable of landing on a planet. There was just like a shuttle on it that we could use to get down to the planet, but the ship itself couldn't land because it was basically a ship built into an asteroid. So it's sort of a flying rock. Lots of different stuff you can do. Modules that you can get, vehicles, the paths that you can get, companions, all kinds of fun sci-fi companions like glowcats and that kind of stuff. And some deeds that you can, deed assets that you can pick up if you have accomplished some stuff. Like if you fill 4 boxes in on your Bonds Legacy track, you can become a homesteader. All kinds of cool stuff, all right? Again, love the art, love the pictures, I love the direction that we're going with this stuff. Has a really good feel for it. We talked about Sean's inspirations a little bit. I'll talk about what's been in my head lately. I really enjoyed the Starforged game that we played earlier, and I played... I might end up doing this guy again, I'm not sure. But there's a character, I played, now I'm not going to be able to remember. His first name was Earl. I remember that very clearly. And I can't remember what I made his last name. Earl. Well, I called a guy named, I had a guy that I played named Earl. And that, Earl was the kind of guy who Earl had misadventures. And I might end up, I kind of like, the basic idea for Earl was somebody who was sort of the all of Fred Ward's characters that he'd ever played in any movie and like all the misadventures that he'd ever had. So Earl didn't really like planets very much because planets tended to be where stuff tried to eat and kill you. He liked systems. He liked being out in space. He liked being on space stations. And it wasn't like bad stuff didn't happen to Earl when he was in space. He just he had confirmation bias where bad stuff was what happened to him when he was, when he was on planets. And when he was up in the space, everything's going to be fine. He's just sure everything is going to be fine. Everything was not going to be fine. So been kind of, so that's ironically, my inspiration for Starforged, at least part of it, is playing Starforged. Okay. I've been binge reading the Murderbot Diaries from, just look up Murderbot Diaries. I want to say it's Martha Wells. The Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells is a big inspiration. Certainly, I like the idea of this, sort of corporate rim space and the expanse beyond that, the independent expanse of planets beyond it and stuff like that. So that appeals to me. I like the aesthetic of The Mandalorian, but I think one of the things that I have in the back of my mind is that I intend for this game to be a little bit funnier. To have I had, don't get me wrong, I had a ton of fun with Brigida's story, the Ironsworn Ravenloft thing, but it was very serious, and there wasn't a lot of laughs. Comedy adventure, which leads me a little bit towards looking at Earl here and thinking that maybe is where things are going to end up going, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. He's got a good look to him. He's a compelling fella, right? Looks like the kind of face you can trust. Kind of, not so much. All right, so some inspirations there. I'm gonna skip past all this stuff about the equipment and all that kind of good stuff. We know how the dice work in general, and we'll look at the moves a little bit. There's a few things in here where they kind of explain Sean's assumptions on how interstellar travel works. The interstellar travel is tied to Starforge is sort of tied to the gameplay of the exploration moves. So there's some assumptions here that get a little wonky if you're not moving through space the way that he expects you to move it through space. It tends to work better if you have sort of a similar approach. Faster than light travel undertaken in a series of individual segments. So sort of micro jumps, I guess, is one way of looking at it, or that kind of stuff. Think of your starship as a stone skipping across a vast galactic pond. One of the things that I'm planning on doing with this one, I kind of had to go a little bit further afield with Ravenloft, because I was doing specifically Ravenloft, and I think I'm going to have some fun with Starforged in this case by playing it straight. Playing Starforged as just pure Starforged. I'm not going to try to simulate some source material or try to run a Star Wars campaign. You can absolutely do that. They've got all the stuff you need to run a Star Wars campaign. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to play a straight Starforged game, just kind of get the pure experience of that. So I'm going to stick to this Eidolon travel. Drifts are the network of Eidolon paths through the Forge. A plotted course along drifts is called a passage. Even when you're following a passage, it's not simply a matter of flying from point A to point B. Piloting the drift requires skilled navigation. Worse yet, some say Eidolon travel weakens the fragile bonds of reality. Explorers tell stories of horrifying visions or visitations among the drifts. Spacers are superstitious folk and often employ wards and rituals to keep Eidolon ghosts at bay. Anchorages. Long voyages are made in a series of FTL transits. Each segment is ends at a waypoint, which is called an anchorage. So places where you stop and charge the E-drive back up. So your trip through will be jump to get where you're going. So every time you kind of come out at an anchorage, you're checking out what your near objects are, what your far objects are. There's oracles for all this kind of stuff. He's got a bunch of oracle tables for this. So you've got space sightings. You can explore waypoint. You've got anything interesting far away, stuff that's out of range. So what's far, what's near, what's out of range, all that kind of stuff. A little lovely play chart. Sean's done some great work with the graphics in here, so that's pretty cool. So let's talk a little bit about launching your campaign. Again, this is some sick art, guys. This is some really good stuff. I'm excited about this. I love the art. I love the ship aesthetic here. Everything that's implied with all the rigs. the swarms, the sort of murmurations of birds. You can't really see that as well on the screen, but there's like this whole, like, oh, it looks like a murmuration of sparrows. They're probably not sparrows. Back here behind these things that look kind of like oil rigs or whatever, docking platforms. So let's check about our life stuff. So in this chapter, you're going to launch the Starforged campaign, deciding the truths of the setting. We're coming back to or returning to an existing campaign. We are not. I like this point, though. Starforged is designed for jumping gameplay, and he takes a moment to mention here, doing this is playing. Making up the world is playing. Coming up with the stuff and the way the world is going to kind of be, this is all playing. This is, a lot of people call this session 0, and I suppose that's fair, but it's still a session. We're still doing stuff, and I'm excited to be doing this stuff. All right, so there's a page in here on player safety tools. There's even some session moves that Sean just released that have to do with these safety tools and just kind of making people self-aware of it. This is probably a bigger concern if you're playing multiple people, but he does take the point of mentioning that safety tools are still relevant when you're in solo play because you may be exploring some stuff that is not super comfortable for you, and when you're playing solo, you're the only person who can kind of call out and say, hey, you're maybe in a place that's making you feel not so great. You're making yourself too uncomfortable. I like being uncomfortable in the game. I'm not always thrilled when bad stuff happens. Losing Ismark in the Ravenloft game was hard. Bummed me out pretty bad. But it was a good thing, and it was a cool thing, and I was still pretty darned excited about it. And what came out of it, it just, it was also kind of a bummer. But there's a point where you get uncomfortable too far. So one of the moves in the game is setting a flag, where you can flag content that you want to approach with more thoughtfulness and caution than other topics, and that's fine. I'm going to think about this some more. I'm not going to talk about the flag stuff just yet. I will admit that I'm a bit lazy about this because to a certain extent I've just internalized it. The stuff that I'm not that interested in or that I don't find that fun to just dwell on, it doesn't get introduced into the game generally, which is fine. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here about the safety toolkit and stuff, which is great. And then we're going to proceed. All right, so let's talk about what we're going to be doing. We're going to be choosing our truths, creating the character, building a starting sector, and then should make us ready to begin our adventure. So let's see what we got. All right, choosing our truths. Since science fiction is a genre full of possibilities, it's important to first establish some key pillars for how you will envision your adventures in Starforged. So here's some assumptions. This is a perilous future. 2 centuries ago, your people fled a cataclysm and settled in a distant galaxy they call the Forge. This is a chaotic place full of dangers and mystery. This is a lonely future. With some possible exceptions, which you will identify as part of your own truths, humans are the only known intelligent life in the galaxy. Others once lived here, but only mysterious and perilous vaults remain to mark their legacy. This is a diverse future. There's a vibrant mix of peoples and cultures among the humans of the Forge. I'm going to be pushing on that pretty hard, so that's cool. This is a far-flung future. Settlements can lie scattered and often isolated from one another. Your starship can travel at faster than light speeds, but it's ponderously slow at a cosmic scale. The universe is big, and it does not cooperate. We will be exploring that a lot. This is an unexplored future. Discoveries await. Even in settled regions, much of the Forge is unknown and uncharted. Because again, space is big. There's a whole bunch we don't know about our current solar system. We've been here for a while. How much could we really know having settled here less than 200 years ago, regardless of how well populated a particular system? This is a wondrous future. The Forge is a galaxy of ancient mysteries, spacefaring creatures, startling phenomena, and other marvels. I'm excited about that kind of stuff. Retro future. Envision the technology you wield as only slightly advanced over today's real-world tech, or even a step back in some ways. Resources are scarce, and the people of the Forge must cobble together what they can. This is an unjust future. Those in power hoard resources, control technologies, and impose their will on others through force or cunning. Others must stand against those forces of imperialism and oppression. I'm going to lean more into corporate imperialism, I think, but still there, sure. This is a hopeful future. Despite these challenges, hope remains. Fulfilling your sworn vows is a realization of that hope. So we have to talk about the cataclysm that caused all of this, that caused our fleeing from the galaxy, the exodus, the communities, what iron is in the system, because iron still matters, laws, religion, magic, communication and data, medicine, artificial intelligence, war, life forms, precursors, and horrors. Wow, that's a lot. So let's get to work. I should probably have a sheet out for this, but instead what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab, let's get into Starforged a little bit here, and I am going to pop out a note sheet, something that we can, oh, nope, cancel. We're going to add a handout, and we're going to say, and we're just going to make some notes in here in our truth sheet on the things that are true about our world. We'll just kind of put them in here as we go. So we'll keep coming back to this guy as we go. All right. So how to select your truths. You can select your truth from each category in one of 3 ways. Mix and match these techniques as you like. Choose a truth from one of the 3 options. Roll for a truth using your oracle dice, or customize a truth or make your own one up. Can't really complain about that. You've got pretty much every option you could possibly, go randomly if you don't care. Pick your own thing or make something up. Keep things moving. Leave some questions unanswered. Don't get mired into details. Broad outlines are important. And then each category offers prompts to consider your character's background and perspective, marked with this icon, little person. Take a moment to consider any aspects interesting to you. All right, so let's get going here. Cataclysm. What was the thing that happened that drove us to this new galaxy that's far away from the rest of this forge? That I can't remember where this is in the book, but the forge basically lies outside of the galactic plane, like up high and away from the rest of them, and looking down on a galaxy that's gone dark, possibly. All right, Cataclysm. The sun plague extinguished the stars in our home galaxy. An anomaly traveled at incredible speeds, many times faster than light itself, and snuffed out the stars around us before we even realized it was coming. Few of us survived as we made our way to this new galaxy. Here in the Forge, the stars are still aflame. We cling to their warmth like weary travelers huddled around a fire. We suspect the sun plague was caused by temporal distortions from a supermassive black hole, sudden dark matter decay, a super weapon run amok, or a scientific experiment gone awry. Cool. All right. Interdimensional entities invaded our reality. Without warning, these implacable and enigmatic beings ravaged our homeworlds. We couldn't stand against them. With the last of our defenses destroyed, our hope gone, we cast our fate to the Forge. Here we can hide, and here we can survive. These entities took the form of corrupting biological scourges, swarming animalistic creatures, monstrous humanoids, spirits of alluring divine form, beings of chaotic energy, titanic creatures of horrific power, world-eating abominations of an unimaginable scale. Alright? Titanic creatures of horrible power. Hey, it's the Reavers from Mass Effect. Or we fled the ravages of a catastrophic war. Over millennia, we consumed resources and shattered lives as we fueled the engines of industry, expansion, and war. In the end, a powerful foe took advantage of our rivalries in a violent bid for power. Fleeing the devastation, we assembled our fleets. Devastation. Typo that. We assembled our fleets and traveled to the Forge. A new home, a fresh start. In this final war, we were set upon by an artificial intelligence, religious zealots, genetically engineered soldiers, self-replicating nanomachines, a tyrannical faction or leader. Do you possess a keepsake or artifact of pre-Cataclysm society? What is it? Why is it important to you? If you are all the remains of a people or a culture, you might be a vest. Cool. All right. I'm not sure what I want to do with this. I like the war thing. I mean, what I immediately want to go to is this war, and we were set upon by artificial, AIs. But that makes things a little bit hairier depending on what I want to do. I'm going to put a pin in this, but I think we're going the route of war, and they fled. They're like war. We're basically war refugees. Although the Sun Plague is pretty cool too. But they're all cool. I mean, they're all pretty awesome. I might have to roll on this. Maybe I should roll on it. So if I roll, I get interdimensional entities invading our reality, world-eating abominations of unimaginable scale. I mean, that sounds like a comedy to me. That sounds like a action comedy. Yeah, you know what? Screw it. Let's do it. Interdimensional grab those crazy. Interdimensional entities invaded our reality, world-eating abominations of unimaginable scale. Well, okay then. All right, what do we got next? Exodus. When the Exodus fleet, okay, so this is how we got out of the galaxy. When the Exodus fleet set off on a ponderous journey to a new home outside our galaxy, they marked the Forge as their destination. Countless generations lived out their lives aboard these titanic ships during the millennia-long passage. Millennia-long? Wow. So we only got here a couple hundred years ago, but we were doing this for a long, man, that is a lot of travel. Space is big. The refugees built a rich legacy of culture and tradition during the Exodus. Some even remained in the ships after their arrival in the Forge, unwilling or unable to leave their familiar confines. Those vessels, the Iron Homes, still sail the depths of the galaxy. Cool. Your dreams are plagued by visions of a lost and crippled Exodus ship. What do you see? Why does it call to you? Cool. A ragtag fleet of ships, propelled at tremendous speeds by experimental FTL drives, carried our ancestors to the Forge, but the technology that powered the ships is said to be the source of the sundering, a fracturing of reality which plagues us here today. Cool. The experimental drives used by the Exodus fleet are forbidden, but the damage is done. The sundering spreads across our reality like cracks on the surface of an icy pond. Those fissures unleash even more perilous realities upon our own. Did we flee one cataclysm only to inadvertently create another? Cool. I dig it. Mysterious alien gates provided instantaneous one-way passage to the Forge. In the midst of the cataclysm, our ancestors found a strange metal pillar on our homeworld's moon. A map on the surface of this alien relic detailed the deep space locations of the Iron Gates, massive devices which powered artificial wormholes. With no other options, the Exodus ships fled through the gates and emerged here in the Forge. I am agnostic about that. I'm good with any of these. I'm really drawn towards that experimental FTL drives that crack reality, though. But the generation ships have a lot to recommend them. Those are the ones I'm kind of leaning toward. Oracle dice say the Exodus fleet was the generation ships. I reserve the right to decide not to do that later, but for now, we're going to go with that so we can keep moving things along. When the Exodus fleet set off on their ponderous journey, they marked the Forge as their destination. Countless generations lived out their lives aboard these titanic ships during the millennia-long passage. Cool. What do we got? Community. Few survive the journey to the Forge, and we are scattered to the winds in this perilous place. Our settlements are often small, starved for resources, and on the brink of ruin. Hundreds of far-flung settlements are lost and isolated within the untamed chaos of this galaxy, and we do not know their fate. Dangers abound, but their safety in numbers. Many ships and settlements are united under the banner of one of the Founder clans. We have a tentative foothold in the galaxy. Each of the 5 Founder clans honor the name and legacy of a leader who guided their people in the chaotic time after the Exodus. Vast reaches of the settled domains are claimed by the clans, and territorial skirmishes are common. We have made our mark on this galaxy, but the energy storms we call balefires threaten to undo that progress, leaving our communities isolated and vulnerable. Starships navigate along these bustling trade routes between settlements. We've built burgeoning outposts on the fringes of known sectors, and bold spacers chart new paths into unexplored domains, but this hard-earned success is threatened by the chaotic balefires, intense energy anomalies, which cut off trade routes and threaten entire planets. I dig that. I'm going to make this. Okay. I like the burgeoning outposts on the fringes of knowns. I like that there's sectors that are more known, but I also like the potential for like a route to fail. That's pretty cool. I dig that. All right, what do we got? What do we got? We got moving along. If vows to a leader or organization are a key aspect of your character, you might be banished-born. If you're skilled at negotiation and resolving disputes between communities, you might be a diplomat. If you have always lived among the stars, you might be void-born. Earl actually ended up doing Voidborn with Earl, not because he loved living in space. I just wanted the penalties from him being on a planet. He was just emotionally better suited for space than being on a planet, which I think is pretty funny. All right, iron. How is iron reflected in the setting? Iron vows are sworn upon the remnants of ships that carried our people to the Forge. I like that. Many of our outposts were built from the iron bones of the Exodus ships. Fragments of the ships were also given to survivors as a remembrance and passed from one generation to the next. Today, the Ironsworn swear vows upon the shards to honor the sacrifice of their forebears, the essences of the places left behind, and the souls of those great ships. Cool. Iron vows are sworn upon totems crafted from the enigmatic metal we call black iron. Black iron was first forged by a long-dead civilization. Some say it's a living metal attuned to the hidden depths of the universe. Remnants of this prized resource are found within ancient sites throughout the forge. It's resistant to damage and corrosion, but can be molded using superheated plasma at specialized facilities. The Ironsworn carry weapons, armors, or token crafted from black iron and swear vows on it. I confess that I really dig that. I like both of these. The Ironsworn bind their honor to iron blades aboard a space starship where stray gunfire can destroy fragile equipment or pierce holes. The brutal practicality of a sword makes for a useful weapon. I mean, that's cool. It's very Traveler. I'm not digging that. What do you swear vows upon? Why is this object meaningful to you? If your background or personality emphasizes the strength of your iron vows, you might be ironbound. Cool. Boy, I love the idea of like the iron being like remnant metal because I think it'd be interesting if this stuff was seen as, generally speaking, remnant tech and what do you call it? Foreign synthetics being something that you really get worried about, right? But this one black iron, for whatever reason, like flies under the radar, is just like decided it's too useful to be scared of or something like that. So we're just going to go with that. We're just going to allow that. But man, vowing on the remnants of old ships is really frippin' cool, man. I like that a lot too. All right, to the Oracle. I want the black iron around, but I think that we swear iron vows are sworn upon the remnants of ships that carried our people to the forge. Yes. That's what we're gonna go with. That's cool. Yeah, because we use the Exodus fleet. That's. Oh, I put that in the wrong place. Nice. All right. What do we got? What do we got? Laws. Much of the cell domains are a lawless frontier. Criminal factions and corrupt leaders often hold sway. Laws and governance vary across settled domains, but bounty hunters are given wide latitude to pursue their contracts. Their authority is almost universally recognized and supersedes local laws. If you want to run killjoys, here you go. Our communities are bound under the terms of the Covenant, a charter established after the Exodus. The organization, called the Keepers, is sworn to uphold these. If you chase down outlaws, you might be a bounty hunter. If you are skilled at getting in and out of protected places and systems, you might be an agent. If you are on the run from a power or authority, you might be a fugitive. If you have connections within the criminal underworld, you might be a scoundrel. I'm going to go with laws and governance vary across settled domains. I'm not sure about the bounty hunter thing. Because why? Like, why would that be the one thing that supersedes local laws? What's so important? Why would bounties be the thing? I mean, unless you really got a Mandalorian, like a Boba Fett hard on. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. I do like the laws and governance vary across the domains because I like the idea of getting to a new system and going, okay, well, this is a different kind of setup. Some places might be just absolute trash fires. Other places might be more egalitarian, more attempted to be utopic. You've got corporate, rim worlds that are just awful. A lot of, indentured servitude that ends up being like generational slavery. To generational corporate slavery, stuff like that. So yeah, a little bit of everything. Why not all? All right, so we're gonna leave that with just everything's different. Religion. Our gods failed us. We left them behind. Our faith is as diverse as our people. 3 dominant religious orders, the triumvirate. Battle for influence and power within the forge. My brain wants to go to our gods failed us, we left them behind, but the Oracle says our faith is as diverse as our people. So that's going to be a fun thing to butt heads up against. We'll leave it as, it is what it is. What was the world-eating abominations of unimaginable scale destroyed was why we fled the old galaxy. I mean, there's got to be some nut job who worships those idiotic fucking, just are idiots. So that's sure. Our faith is as diverse of our people, and people are stupid. So, nice. Cool. Magic. Magic does not exist. Supernatural powers are wielded by those rare people we call paragons. And unnatural energies flow through the forge. Magic and science are 2 sides of the same coin. This is where you can get into the whole force thing. Empath, firebrand, kinetic seer, shade. Magic does not exist. I don't think that I am that interested in. I'm definitely not interested in like a pseudo force thing. The Oracle disagrees with me, but the Oracle can suck it right now because I'm not. Yeah, I don't think that's good. Not for me. Magic does not exist. I'm gonna go with science. So, boom. What's the old Tim Minchin line? Every mystery throughout history has ultimately turned out to be not magic. So, communication and data. Much was lost when we came to the Forge. It is a dark age. Information is life. We rely on a guild of spaceborne couriers, the heralds, to transport messages and data. I'm not feeling the titles for everything. Like, they're the heralds, they're couriers. They get paid. I'm looking for a more workaday, Firefly, The Expanse kind of feel where it's like, we're not the heralds. We're Joe, and Joe gets paid to haul a fucking space truck back and forth with, space FedEx from system to system, hauling back, information buoys and stuff. So I'm going to be dropping these names in general, not really my deal, but direct communication and transmission beyond the near space of a ship or an outpost is impossible due to the chaotic energies of the Forge. Digital archives are available at larger outposts. Information is not up-to-date, reliable. Therefore, the most important communication and discoveries are carried by the Herald sworn to see that data. Settled domains, a network of data hubs called the Weave, allows near instantaneous communication and data sharing between ships and outposts. Yes. Once you get to a hub, you should be able to get on. Again, I don't love this name. I'm not gonna probably do that, but beyond most populous sectors, travelers and outposts are still commonly isolated and entirely off the grid, or like it's a local grid kind of thing. If you're an expert at subverting or manipulating digital information, you might be an agent. If you keep an archive of navigational charts, you might be a navigator. Cool. Again, not loving the weave thing, but that's fine. Don't need to love it. Cool. All right. Medicine. Our advanced medical technologies and expertise was lost during the Exodus. To help offset the scarcity of medical supplies and knowledge, the technicians we call riggers create basic organ and limb replacements. Advanced medical care is simply out of reach. When someone suffers a grievous injury, they'll often turn to a rigger for makeshift mechanical solution. Okay. The Menders are an order of sworn, again, the names, are an order of sworn healers who preserve our medical knowledge and train new generation. I don't like the idea. I don't need Warhammer 40k, like, knowledge being fenced off by a certain order or something like that. But medicine is hard, man. So, yeah, there's elements of all of this I like. We'll put it like this. Advanced care is usually available only within larger settlements, but even remote communities are often... Even remote communities have... So, some, expert medical systems, that kind of thing that just, yeah. I can certainly see settlements where, like, we know who the doctor is. Sure. Do you bear any notable scars or prosthetics? Do you have any medical or physical disabilities? These aspects might influence your look or approach. If you're skilled at providing medical care for yourself or others, you might be a healer. If you're rigged with advanced prosthetics or cyberware, you might be augmented. Cool. Artificial intelligence. We no longer have access to advanced computer systems. Instead, we must rely on the specialists we call adepts. Hate that idea. That's too Warhammer 40k for me. The vestiges of advanced machine intelligence are coveted and wielded by those in power. Artificial consciousness emerged in the time before the Exodus, and sentient machines live with us here in the Forge. Our ships, digital assistants, bots, and other systems often house advanced AI. For a lone traveler, machine intelligence can provide companionship and aid within perilous steps of the Forge. I'm going to add some ripples to that, but I am definitely going with this third option here. I want AI around. I want them to be potentially unpredictable. I think a ship you can talk to, digital assistants, bots. Yeah, that's going to be a situation where the tech of this setting is more advanced than our tech. Everyone has a feed connection, whether it's an actual implant or just they're habitually checking it out. And you've got bots and some augmented humans that have the stuff and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, I dig that. I want that. We're gonna go with that. Okay. If you're accompanied by a machine intelligence, you might have a companion such as a combat bot, a protocol bot, a survey bot, or a utility bot. If your ship has an AI, you might have an overseer module. I had one in the last game. It was a lot of fun. Might do it again. If the AI in your campaign is rare or unavailable, these units will operate using very basic machine intelligence. If the AI is common and advanced, they may have their own sentient personalities. Why wouldn't? War. Here in the Forge, resources are too precious to support organized fighting forces or advanced weaponry. Weapons are simple and cheap. Starships are often cobbled together from salvage. Most communities rely on ragtag bands of poorly equipped conscripts or volunteers to defend their holdings. Raiders prowl the Forge in search of easy prey. Those few with the ability to pay can call on the Legion, again with the names and like everything is isolated into this one organization. No. Guild of Professional Soldiers, a guild of no. War never ends. Talented weaponsmiths and shipwrights craft deadly high-tech tools of destruction. Dominant factions wield mighty fleets and battle-hardened troops. I don't know about the war never ends thing. We're gonna modify this one. Systems, corporations, etc. Dominant factions fund the development and deployment of combat-capable forces and may even rent them out under bond for the right payment. Yeah, this is going to be kind of cyberpunky. I kind of want the corps to have a lot. I like the idea of certainly having factions of corporations that have this kind of stuff. We'll see. We'll see. But those in power have access to weapons of heroic skirmishes and wars flare across. I'll say skirmishes flare across cell domains. All right, sure. Let's see where that goes. All right. Have you fought in any wars? Are there experiences which haunt you now? If you're an experienced soldier, you might want to be a veteran. Swear vows as a soldier of fortune, you might be a mercenary. If you favor a particular weapon, you might follow the path such as archer, blade master, gunner, gunslinger, sniper. Life forms. Life finds a way. Life in the Forge is diverse. Planets are often home to a vast array of creatures, and our starships cruise with spaceborne life forms riding in their wake. Even animals from our home world carried aboard the Exodus ships have adapted to live with us in the Forge. Or many sites and planets are infested with dreadful Forge spawn. Aberrant creatures threaten to overrun other life in the galaxy. The Forge spawn are hostile creatures born of the chaotic energies of this galaxy. Hundreds of abandoned or devastated outposts and derelict ships stand as testament to their dreadful power. And again with these names. Life in the Forge was seeded and engineered by the Essentia, ancient entities who enact their inscrutable will in this galaxy. Architects of life within the Forge, omniscient beings are rarely encountered and have no. I like this. I kind of a combination of these things. I'm gonna kind of have both of them because I like both of them. So we have, but life finds, this is a perilous and often inhospitable galaxy, but life finds a way. Planets are often home to a vast array of creatures. Our starships cruise with space. No, I don't like that. I don't need, maybe. Even animals from our homeworld carried aboard the Exodus ships have adapted to live with us in the Forge. But many planets are infested by dreadful Forge spawn. Super air quotes on this one. Aberrant creatures, hostile creatures born out of the corruption of remnant sites and technology. Sure. Remnant stuff corrupts. Remnant tech has a tendency. So you come on these planets, and maybe it was originally normal flora and fauna, but it's been around these remnant abandoned alien sites and stuff like that for so long that it's mutated. And you get weird shit. Forge spawn. I am down with that. Plus just weird freaking creatures. Some of it may just be weird because the planet is weird. Cool. Alright. Precursors. Over eons, a vast number of civilizations rose and fell within the Forge. Today, the folk we call grubs, scavenger crews, and audacious explorers delve into the mysterious monuments and ruins of those ancient beings. Sure, like that. Incomprehensible technologies, inexorable time, and the strange energies of the Forge have corrupted the vaults of the precursors. Despite the perils, grubs scour the places for useful resources and discoveries, but some secrets are best left buried, and many have been lost to the forsaken depths of the vaults. Cool. The Ascendancy, an advanced spacefaring empire, once ruled the entirety of the Forge vaults. I think that tells us too much. Vaults of inscrutable purpose are all that remain to mark the Ascendancy's legacy, but those places are untethered for our own reality. The biomechanical lifeforms we call the Remnants, engineered by civilizations as weapons in a cataclysmic war, survived the death of their creators. While awesome, I don't think I'm going to do that. I mean, on scarred planets and within ancient vaults throughout the Forge, remnants still guard ancient secrets and fight unending wars. I love that. But I'm going to go with this whole grubs thing and dumpster divers. Space dumpster divers. Vast numbers delve into the mysterious monuments and ruins of those ancient beings. Yeah, I'm down with that. The whole idea of there being like AI guardians and stuff like that just rolls right into that. I don't even see that to being a different thing. So we're just gonna leave that. Horrors. Put enough alcohol in a spacer and they will tell you stories of ghost ships crewed by vengeful undead. It's nonsense. Meh. Is it? Most insist that horrors aren't real. Spacers know the truth. So, first one is, within the Forge, space and time are as mutable and unstable as a flooding river. When reality can't be trusted, we are bound to encounter unsettling phenomena. Cool. Or, when you travel the depths of the Forge, be wary. Death is not always the end to our suffering. Some say we are cursed by those who did not survive the Cataclysm. The veil between life and death is forever weakened. Supernatural occurrences and entities are especially common near a white dwarf star. These stellar objects, which spacers call ghost lights, are the decaying remnants of a dead star. And finally, the strange energies of the Forge give unnatural life to the dead. The Soul Binders are an organization sworn to confront these horrors. I mean, you could certainly come through here and pick oracles and have all of these like very, why it reminds me of Blades in the Dark, but it really does. Sort of named organizations that have like these orders and stuff, and that is a vibe. That is 100% a vibe. I am not going with that. But I respect the hell out of anybody who does want to do that. That is not where I'm going. Okay, so I'm going with Put enough alcohol into a spacer and they'll tell you stories of ghost ships crewed by vengeful undead. It's nonsense. Or is it? Reality can't be trusted. We're bound to encounter weird crap. Definitely leaning towards an Earl in experience here. All right. Look at that. Look at that guy. He looks happy to see us. Huh? Huh? I do like a good zombie. Looks like he has had a bad day. All right, so we have some stuff here. Let's take a look at what we have so far. What are our truths? Save these changes and take a look at it. Interdimensional entities invaded our reality. World-eating abominations of imaginable scale. When the Exodus fleet set off on a ponderous journey to a new home outside the galaxy, they marked the Forge as their destination. Countless generations lived out their lives aboard these Titanic ships during the passage. Starships navigate along bustling trade routes between settlements. We built burgeoning outposts on the fringes of known sectors, but this hard-earned success is threatened by chaotic intense energy anomalies which cut off. Get rid of that chaotic balefire thing, but intense energy anomalies which cut off trade routes and threaten entire planets. The thing with names like Balefire and, you know, the Wayfinders and the Heralds. Maybe there's a system that calls them that, but space is big, man. There's a bunch of different societies. Not everybody is going to call everything the same thing everywhere. Not in this kind of a setting. Everybody's going to have their own nicknames for stuff. Some people are going to call the chaotic energies of the universe Balefires. Some people are going to call it energy anomaly. Some people aren't going to have a name for it. It's just going to be a weird energy signature. Whatever. All right, iron vows are sworn on the remnants of ships that carried our people to the Forge. Sweet. Laws and governance vary across settled domains, but bounty hunters are given wide latitude to pursue their contracts. Still not sure why that would be in this case. I have to think more about that. Our faith is as diverse as our people. Magic does not exist. In settled domains, a network of data hubs called the Weave allows near instantaneous communication data sharing between ships and outposts. I'm definitely saying this is on a system basis, and it's like, yeah, it's satellite range, right? When you get too far away from a station or a planet, you lose that feed. You've got maybe a local feed in whatever ship you're in, where everybody can be connected and networked, and that's cool, local networks. And then you can connect to the wide network, and then, you know, you're not getting a feed connection from system to system or even planet to planet other than like comms. Anyway, advanced medical care is usually available only within the larger settlements, but even remote communities have medical experts available in most cases, or at least rudimentary expert systems. Artificial consciousness emerged in the time before the Exodus, and sentient machines live with us here in the Forge. Our ships, digital assistance bots, and other systems often house advanced AI. For a lone traveler, machine intelligence can provide companionship and aid within the perilous depths of the Forge. Dominant factions fund the development and deployment of combat-capable forces and may even rent them out under bond for the right payment, and those in power have access to weapons of heroic, destructive potential. Skirmishes flare across the settled domains. This is a perilous and often inhospitable galaxy, but life finds a way. Planets are often home to a vast array of creatures, but many sites and planets are infested by dreadful Forge spawn, hostile creatures born out of the corruption of remnant sites and technology. Over eons, a vast number of civilizations rose and fell within the Forge. Today, the folk we call grubs, scavenger crews, and audacious explorers delve into the mysterious monuments and ruins of those ancient beings. Incomprehensible technologies, inexorable time, and the strange energies of the Forge have corrupted the vaults of the precursors. Despite the perils, grubs scour these places. Put enough alcohol in a spacer and they will tell you stories of ghost ships crewed by vengeful undead. It's nonsense. Or is it? When reality can't be trusted, you're bound to encounter weird crap. So there. All right. That's the world. That is the version of the Forge that we are doing. All right. How long have we been going? We've been going for a while now. Maybe I'll pause at this point. But in Starforged, you'll undertake quests, overcome challenges, explore the Forge. You will need a Starforged character sheet and a set of asset cards. The character sheet is used to track your stats. All right. Blah blah blah. You're human. We don't directly provide options to play aliens, robots, uplifted animals, or other non-human characters. You could do non-humans, but Starforged is primarily designed to be played from the perspective of a human being, or a close analog to a human being. Diversity and inclusiveness, apart from their human-centric assumption, you can envision your character however you like. There's no gameplay or setting restrictions. 4. Race, culture, disability, sexual orientation, or gender identity. If you're aiming to play a specific lived experience, don't rely on assumptions or stereotypes. Put in the time to research and learn the experience of others, which is a good note. All right. This is interesting how they do this. They don't have you start with stats. You ready your assets, get the assets ready, choose 2 paths from among the paths of the characters, paths for your character, create your backstory, write your background vow, create your backstory, write your background vow. That's basically an epic vow that you continue to work on during the arc of your character. Board your starship. So you take the starship command vehicle asset, envision the nature of the ship, and give it a name. And then you choose your final asset, which can be a module, a support vehicle, a companion, or another path. You start out with 3. Set your stats, set your condition meters, envision your character, name your character, and gear up. All right, look at this guy. Look at that guy traveling around with his rock horn thingy, his cybernetic leg. Could stat him out in a minute. Augment, rock horn companion. Oh, look, both of his legs are actually augmented, looks like. He's got cyber legs. Cool. I like this guy. He's got some character. All right. I need to think about this. I'm going to give this some thought. Now I have the world. So we're going to come back to this. So here's what I'm thinking. As mentioned, I like Earl. I think we get a lot of distance out of Earl. He seems like the kind of guy who'd have some funny companions. I like him. I used him in the other Starforged campaign, but I think we have some fun with this guy. I like him having an AI on the ship to argue with, or somebody to argue with. I like an AI. So that's kind of a cool idea. Earl Bassett. The other thought that I had was, and this is partly because I've been listening to the Murderbot Diaries, is doing somebody who's, much more in touch with that whole AI thing. But I think I might go with Earl. All right. Maybe I don't need to stop. Maybe I can just keep going. I think the thing here, they had some nice stuff here, but I like the ones that are marked with an asterisk are ones that are not good for solo play because they have some stuff that relies on having other people in a group. All right. Let's see what we got for. Let's get Earl going here. Earl Baxter. Baxter? All right, let's talk about good old Earl here. Earl has seen some shit. Let's get into where are we at here. All right, running? Running ain't a plan. Run's what you do when a plan fails. Earl has seen some shit. Mostly it's things no one will believe. Some fella, everyone in the colony said it died back when the gate stopped working. Oh, let's get rid of that. Died, except he was up and around and trying to bleed off some nice young ladies for immortality or some such thing. Face-eating, featherless chicken things the size of a dog that just happened to overrun Petromea refinery right when the ship I was working on set down for delivery and pickup. That time he had to get a local governor out of a penal facility the size of a damn city after the power went out. Damn graboid looking worm thingies that came up out of the damn ground on this Dust Ball Perfection 8 while he was stuck at dirt side doing odd jobs. Earl has a theory, and that theory is whenever he stays in any one place for too long, bad shit happens, so he has to stay moving. Good with his hands, can cobble together damn near anything as long as you don't need it to work for too long, and has kind of a knack for sorting out old tech and definitely does not want to settle down. Cool. Wait, let's get Earl's picture in here. Where's Earl? Get his picture. There you go. We got Earl. All right. Earl Baxter. This is hard because I've got a certain kind of character that I like to play, and I got a certain kind of character that I'm not that keen on. And one of the reasons I was thinking about somebody who was like inspired by Murderbot is it would push me out of my comfort zone on this. But man, I tell you, all right, what's Earl's best thing? Earl's too old to be too fast, but I like him being better at edge than Brigida was. Oh, wait, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's edit these. Brigida was definitely not about edge, so let's switch that up here a little bit. Man, I love a character with heart, though. That's just my jam. We're going to go. I might end up going with a different balance on these stats, too, because I might end up going. There's the Lodestone or Lodestar supplement that says when you're going solo, maybe bump your stats a bit. I don't know if they do that in the Starforged thing with your stats, and I probably shouldn't be fiddling with it just yet, but let's take a look at our assets here. Let's see what we've got. All right, so we've got a bunch of assets here. We're not going to worry about the modules for the ship just yet. I'm just going to go down the paths. And I think what I'm going to do with him, like he's a tinkerer, he's kind of a mechanic guy, and I think I'm going to go with maybe Gearhead. When you repair and add +1 and take a +1 repair point. Gather information by studying or disassembling a piece of equipment or tech, or if you resupply by breaking down and repurposing an item, add +1. Oh, I like that. Gearhead is pretty cool. Scavenger. I'm definitely doing Scavenger. When you gather information or resupply by scavenging a wreck, ruin, or abandoned site, add +1. Earl's a grub, or, well, he probably wouldn't care to be called that, but on a strong hit with a match, you also find something unique. When you face danger, to cobble together an ad hoc tool or device gives you bonus. When you check your gear, roll wits or supply, whichever's highest, and take +1 momentum on the hit. So I like Scavenger. Gearhead might be really diving deep into that, but Yeah, I like somebody who's good at the ship stuff and on top of that, good with just poking around old Revenant tech. All right, so I got Scavenger in there. I think I'm gonna go with Gearhead if I can figure out how to add another one. All right, so Scavenger, when you gather information or resupply by scavenging a wreck, a ruin, or abandoned site, add +1 and take +1 momentum on a hit. And when you repair, plus wits, add +1 and take +1 repair point or +1 momentum on a hit. Cool. So yeah, I dig that. Those are my assets. I don't know if it really matches up with any of these things here, but that is fine. Kind of a starship mechanic. Anyway, he's good with machines. Just kind of talk to me. Create your backstory. As you begin to play Starforged, your character is a person with few ties to others, forges a vast galaxy. Consider what happened to sunder or separate you from your home and relationships. This is your backstory. This origin can influence the stories you explore or vows you undertake as you play Starforged. Backstory prompt. Well, alright. Oh, that's a roll. Okay. Rolling 15. 15 on my backstory stuff. 15. You were haunted by past actions or failures. Okay. I'm going to leave it a bit vague there. We'll find out more about that, but he's haunted by past actions and failures. Building a backstory with other players, don't have to worry about that. Write a background vow. You will envision and mark down a background vow to represent a primary motivation or ultimate goal. Consider what you know of the setting and your character thus far. What nagging ambition, aching need, or sacred commitment drives you? This is your background vow. This vow is part of your character's history. Sworn months ago or years ago, can be tied to your backstory, represent a deep or lifeline goal. I vow to destroy the Iron Claw Raider clan. I will discover a means of preserving consciousness beyond death. I don't know. I don't know about this one. If you're having trouble coming with a background vow, try rolling on some oracle tables for inspiration. Roll the action and theme or character goal. Page 171. All right. 33, 68, 82. Deliver protection. Deliver stranger. Expedition. Risk expedition. Deliver protection. And find a person. Okay. Summary. Vow. I'll find my friend's daughter and make sure she gets back home safe. Deliver protection. Find someone. Find a person. Deliver protection. Find a person. Deliver protection. Okay. We'll learn more about that. That's the epic vow. Ooh, man, that's gonna be complicated as fuck. You know, anybody else getting Last of Us vibes? Again, I want this to be funny. That's not funny, but something. Hello, my name's Earl Baxter. I'm here to rescue you. Yes, I'm a little short for a stormtrooper. All right, let's go. What we got going on here? What's next? Write the vow. Board your starship. Take the starship command vehicle asset card. This is your interstellar spacecraft. Sweet. All right, let's see what we got. Can I do? No. All right, I got a starship. I need to come up with a name for it, but I haven't thought of one yet. There's my starship. Your armed, multi-purpose starship is suited for interstellar and atmospheric flight. Okay, flying alone. If you're playing solo Starforged, you are a lone spacer in a vast galaxy. Thanks to automation and centralized controls, your starship is fully capable of flying and fighting while operated by a single pilot. Cool. Give the starship a history. Abso-frickin-lutely. 47. Found abandoned in perfect condition. What? Do I call it serendipity? Or no, what was that? 10 real ghost ships left abandoned. No, I don't want frickin' Mary Celeste. Right now. Alright, the Zebulon Harding. The Zebulon. Alright, your armed multiple starship. Alright, so the background that I rolled is found abandoned in perfect condition. This is good. I'm gonna have so much fun with this because I might have to redo my epic, my background vow, because I am. Okay, let's see what our next step is here first before I get any further into that. Who owns the starship? Well, I found it abandoned in perfect condition. Envision it. Flesh it out and play. Roll once or twice on the table below. Cool. Alright, so we're going to roll a couple more times. 83, 99. Ooh, 99. Holy cat. Someone marked the hole with graffiti. Timers and clocks are always a bit off. The graffiti thing, timers and clocks are always a bit off. Marked with graffiti. The graffiti thing is a little cryptic. Old bloodstain in the airlock reappears even when painted over. Ugh. Oh, Yeah, I'm totally doing this. Navigation logs contain coordinates to locations that do not or should not exist. Things tend to go, timers and clocks are always a bit off. To coordinates. Navigation logs to coordinates that do not or should not exist. Maybe timers and clocks are always a bit off. I might have to redo my epic thing. Find out what happened to the original crew of the Zebulon Harding. Sure, maybe. Maybe. I'm going to toy around with that. Think about that. I'm going to burn that one a little bit and see what I think. Name your starship. I already did. Choose your final asset. Module, support vehicle, companion. I am going to go with... I have a very clear picture in mind for this. I am going to go with the asset for Overseer. I think. And that's going to be part of the reason that I am invested in figuring out what's going on with the ship. So we got assets on here, and I am going to add the asset of Overseer. This is Zeb. Your AI module keeps watch over your vehicle systems and sensor data. When you secure an advantage or gain ground by talking through a situation with the Overseer, you may roll plus your vehicle's integrity. If you do, take a +1 momentum on a hit. So, yeah, I found this ship, the Zebulon Harding. The AI I've nicknamed Zeb. He's the AI module for the ship. He has no memory of what happened to his crew. He has no memory of why he was left floating in space completely unmanned and abandoned. He is annoyed by the fact that I keep gendering him as he. Yeah. I like the idea of being sent out to find like the daughter of a friend, but I think I'm going to get away from that a little bit, probably. All right, set your stats. 5 stats, valued from 1 to 3. When setting your stats, consider the nature of your emerging character. I feel like my wit should be my highest one, but maybe if you're a diplomat, you might rely on your heart. Stats represent your character's inherent abilities, but they're also tied to your nature and preferences. If you have a 3 on edge, you may depend on speed and precision in perilous situations. This is true whether you are firing a gun, moving on foot, or flying your spaceship. I, again, might go back and do a different spread and do like 4, 3, 3, 2, 2. Just because my experience with Ironsworn is that I do not necessarily find it super fun to get my head kicked in constantly, and that little extra push, we'll see. We'll see. I'll leave it the way it is for now and see how bad it is, because also the moves are different in Starforged than they are in Ironsworn. They're a little bit more forgiving. There's a few more tools that you have at your disposal. Envision your character, look, how he acts, how he wears. I think I'm going to get that down pretty well. Name your character, already did. Gear up. You know, I can assume sealed environment suit, flashlight, toolkit, medkit, personal communicator, personal items. I'm ready to go. I'm not going to get into building a starting sector. We've been on this for a really long time, but this gives us a setting, and it gives us an Earl, which is a lot. Earl can. Oh, did I screw up that? I did kind of a little bit. I kind of screwed up the sheet, so you guys couldn't see it very well. So that's not great, but. We have a lot going on now with Earl, so I'm just gonna let Earl be Earl for now and worry about the rest of this a little bit later. We'll get to the sector thing and kind of build out some of that. I'll do that in another, I guess, a session 0.2, but we'll get there and then we'll get going. So this is going to be probably 2 sessions to get everything all baked in for good old Earl Baxter here. But I'm excited. I think, yeah, it's not going to be this. We're going to find out that. And let's get rid of that other one. We'll figure out the old Zebulon Harding thing. I think that's going to be where I stick in on this one for now, and not do the daughters thing. That's all right. Sweet. All right. I'm excited, folks. We're getting there. Next time we'll build out the sector a little bit, and we'll probably be able to go straight from that into our sort of inciting incident and getting things going. So, yeah, we're going to roll. I'm excited. Hope you're excited. All right. Talk to y'all soon. I like this.